This is the Internet Cafe where I slept my first night in Hiroshima. You can see that it's very tight quarters. This one has a chair. I did not have a chair, but it's also different. It doesn't have a mat on the floor, so it's a little different. I'll go to one that's a little more like mine. This is what mine looked like. It's hard to see. This is, again, the rack of selections in the Internet Cafe where I stayed. This is the free drink bar, which was very nice, where I drank free mocha in the morning. They didn't really have any prepared breakfast of scrambled eggs, bacon, so I'm moving on. Now this is the Museum of History and Culture in Nagasaki. It's right associated with the Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum. But I'm just looking through here rather briefly to check it out and to see some of the historic things that they have here. The children, I guess, are playing with these things. And you also get some pictures of the homes of the original Nagasaki. And now this is the local toy display counter. As we can see, it's quite interesting. All the things that children played with at various ages. A lot of these I think are like very iconic. Probably homemade in many cases. Stepping back a little bit here. It's beautiful, beautiful workmanship, as we can see up close and then further away. I'm using the screen for basically the first time. It's quite interesting because I can see what I'm shooting. Unfortunately, we don't have English translations here, so I don't really know what they're depicting, these cartoon figures, but the workmanship is incredible. The artistry is obvious because we have the ship there, and then along here we've got the fans. These are older items, tools. There's a man working at his workshop. I just met a lady from Germany with her husband, and she's into these block wood printing. She's apparently quite an expert at it, but has come to the source, if you will. Her husband was very interested in energy, very anti-coal. The husband was telling me that almost 50% of German power is derived from solar and wind now, which is kind of amazing. Power is generated by wind and by solar, but I told him we have a lot in our backyard. These are kind of incredible. And I think has a certain value for Nolan to see this, the workmanship. A lot of things having to do with children's folklore and dress and toys, which I find interesting. These are, I guess, probably ships, from ships. And now we have music. And this is quite beautiful. All the different instruments. And of course we have the Buddha clock, Old typewriter, Underwood. These represent different food things, items. Look at this wonderful looking plate of seafood and rolled in the shrimp. Incredible. Oysters, cakes. This is an incredible, probably came from some big shot, I would think. It's an incredible chest of drawers. I don't think many people stop here. It's free, which is amazing. I worked with these on the farm, a version of it. That's probably, these have to do with husking rice and bagging it. Quite amazing. Takes me back to my farm boy days. Threshing with flails. Oh, I never did that. These are really old traditional instruments. Kind of a harrows. Look at that one. Talk about old. Really amazing. And a plow. Single furrow. Got a photo of the farmer behind the horse. Horse is working so hard, plowing with an ox. I plowed my share with horses and with tractors, of course. This is very interesting to me personally because I worked with some of the similar equipment. But this looks like some pretty good stuff. An old sickle. I guess this was probably a winter type of thing. Look at the old barrel here, it's amazing. This, of course, speaks for itself. And then we have this wall clock that was found in a house about 800 meters from the epicenter. It's just amazing. Now I'm following around Nagasaki before the bomb museum, before the atomic bomb. It reminds me a lot of what I saw yesterday in Hiroshima. See the happy children, see the church, I guess a church school. People walking. That clicking, I guess, designates before the bomb. This is U.S. Army photos of Nagasaki from the air. That's kind of amazing, rather poignant. This is what they saw as they were making their target. There are photos of the mushroom cloud. I remember. This is showing the shadow left by the heat rays. You can actually see the shadows of a silhouette here of a lookout. That's from the heat rays itself. It was so powerful. It was much stronger than I thought, and yet compared to the new versions of hydrogen bombs, this is like a pinprick. So you can just imagine, looking at the damage that this caused, what it would be like to have a nuclear bomb come across now, a hydrogen bomb, or even more powerful ones that they've developed in different countries, including the United States and China and Russia, of course. They're just incredibly strong. This is a very excellent museum. Incredibly well presented. Must be a profound experience for young people to see this, who couldn't imagine this unless they came and visited here. Many school children here. I'm not sure where they're from, whether they're local or probably could be anywhere. I think maybe some from China.
This is a little special indulgence. I stopped at this cafe that specializes in Italian specialties, and here I have gelato. It was about $6.50. They gave you $1 off for showing your passport. So overall for the coffee and the gelato, it was $8.85, which is an indulgence, but I'm thinking, why not try some things, see how they fare. They were very slow in this particular cafe. It just took forever. Not the kind of business I would run with such a good product, but that's the way it is.
This is the famous Nishiki Market, which looks like it's an indoor single kind of aisle space. It's supposed to be quite famous. A lot of tourists, a lot of locals shop here. So it's going to be interesting to walk through and to see it. I'll try to comment somewhat as we go. It should be quite an adventure. It's one of the traditional markets of Kyoto, and apparently it has a little of everything. As we can see here, an oyster bar reminds me a little bit of what I remember from Baltimore. All the different work. There he is. He's an expert on the oysters, opening the oysters. Very good. He knows what he's doing. I remember opening oysters. I didn't have that kind of equipment though. And he made it with clams there, all kinds of different things. An oyster bar. Everywhere you see different things. This is quite a compelling space. They have everything here, it seems. It's not just a food market. It's an experience. Here's one here, healthy ice cream, 380 yen, which is about $3.80. So that'll be interesting to see how that would taste. And there's the coffee rotation cooking pot to coat the beans. This is great fun for me, being a market guy. Always try to go to the city markets wherever I travel. It's the best experience ever. Here it looks like this is a fish market. And they have something, everything.
Sir, could I just
これ1本
300円。
はい
2個入り。
間違えた
ここでよかったら食べてて。
ありがとうございます
もうこれは醤油ついてるから、そのまま。
interesting watching the transactions? This goes for a long ways through this market. It's a powerful market. It's very narrow, so it seems to be one aisle. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Here's the Omi beef sushi. That sounds very interesting. Omi beef sushi. You don't get too much for your money here. Those are the prices. Very expensive. I'm sure it's excellent, but it's out of my range. This looks like it might be a little easier. 1990. I guess that's a ribeye. It looks good. Now this is very interesting. This is smoked duck. $2.20. That's very good. Fried chicken. I think I must have the smoked duck. I think that's a good thing to have. I'm coming now to the tempura rolled omelet restaurant, and I must say that Humpty Dumpty omelets in Baltimore never had anything over this. It's unbelievable. Looking at their products and their methods here, it's really incredible. I'm taking some pictures here. They seem to have no problem with me showing how it's done here. It's beautiful, beautiful job. Look at the omelets. They really know how to make them. They've got mixing here. They have, it's similar to what I was doing, but in some ways I think it's faster and more productive. It's amazing. I had a business in the United States called Humpty Dumpty Omelets.
So
I made omelets. I made omelets, so now I am doing a video. It's very, very good.
And
Yes.
communication with America.
Yes, I'm a Canadian, but I did this in Maryland and Baltimore.
Good job.
Yes, thank you. It's a wonderful market. Yes, excellent. This is a great market. Yes, great imagination. Japanese are very smart people, and very nice people.
They're very hard work.
Yes. Very hardworking is right. You can see it everywhere. I'm going through this incredible market and taking some shots and visiting the lines, going through the different products. You can see it's just everything you can imagine to see, and I'm using it as well as I can. This looks like incredible. It's a lot of seaweed type products here. I know seaweed is a big thing in Japan. It's very interesting. And it's interesting to see all the different things that it just is beyond imagination. How many different products they have here. Look at this. It's beautiful. Sea urchin. Very interesting. 700. That's about $7 American. We just go from side to side. It's one aisle long. It's fairly deep. like about three or four stalls deep, but there aren't many people with long stalls. But I'll cross over here and see if I can get in to look at some of the things on this side. These are some of the goods here. Hello, how are you? Oh, it's so beautiful. Hello there, how are you? You're great, look at you. Thank you. Now this is one of the most amazing flower shops I have ever seen. I've seen all over the world, and this is amazing. The number of shops, but this is special here, I think. Just how my mother would have loved this, how Mom would have just loved the display here of the incredible different flowers. Just beautiful, beautifully presented in this large shop. Just everything you can imagine. She would have known the names of a lot of them. I know none. My sister Mary would be the same way. She would know. My brother Jim, who is 79 today, September 21. I think of him every day, but he would love this shop. He would be amazed at the variety here. It's just incredible. It doesn't stop. And the prices seem to be pretty good. I have no idea. We're talking about 3 for $4.86. That's 3 of these for less than $5. So you could make a nice bouquet. But it's the variety that is amazing here. These are a lily type. Just gorgeous. 500, I guess that's a piece. Or maybe it's it's probably in that plastic thing, so you get about 4 or 5 plants. And back here, they're putting them together. I'm from Canada. A video. A very nice shop. Thank you. Thank you. From Canada. Variety. So I'm doing a lot of, I guess I'm not editing very well, self-editing, which I have to learn more. But this is an experiment. This is amazing here. I'm at a fish stand. Yes, now I'm working. This is a fish stand. Look at this baby. Incredible. Incredible. Oh, they look so good. 500 is about $5. Different variety, many different things. No photography. No reading while walking. It just told me no photography, but nobody said anything, and I'm not going to heed anybody's advice at my stage. It's crazy. This place was made for filming, and they never know when I might stop. Everything is done with me spontaneously. This looks like a very interesting place here. What do they have? It will be interesting to check. It's a peanut. Now look at this. Talk about crabs. Huge crab stick.
Please hold up. Oh, sorry. Come here, please.
Okay. So sorry.
And there's certainly more selection than you would ever see in a Canadian market. Very nice people. She does not like the camera. I'm sorry. You have a beautiful stand here. I'm sorry she's shy, but that's all right. It's her business. Look at this. This looks wonderful. He's going from one to the next here. He is very professional. A professional man. Shows all his different. Very good. Oh, they don't like big pictures, but I think it's pretty natural and it's so beautiful. This is more of a traditional spot for Japanese kitchen utensils, for cooking ware. I've been concentrating mostly on the food because it's so incredible, but this obviously shows us what they use to prepare the food and serve the food. It's really quite astounding, really. Look at the knives here. I guess the different left hand and right hand, scissors. It's just amazing. More knives. Incredible selection here all the way through.
Carved meat, what would you use? Oh, right, they slice like this.
Are you buying a right hand or a left hand knife? Where are you from? Oh, really? Where?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles? Okay.
Boston.
Oh, Boston. That's
Austin.
Austin. Okay. I lived in Baltimore many years, but I'm a Canadian.
I'm a Canadian too.
Where from?
Toronto.
Toronto. I went to school at Ryerson, and I was a reporter with the Toronto Telegram and the Peterborough Examiner, Buffalo News, and the Baltimore Sun. So I'm a big fan of Canada. But now the Prime Minister,
I know.
he's in trouble.
A little bit in trouble.
Are you still a
It
Canadian?
wasn't just once.
No.
I am with a green card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave mine back.
Did you?
73, yeah. But my kids, grandkids are American. I'm taking this opportunity in the Gion section of Kyoto to take a very close look at the tile work and how they are put together. It's quite an artistic work of craftsmanship. Just incredible. And I met a woman yesterday who's an engineering of ceramics. And she was a professor, an engineer, I believe, lecturing here at a conference. And she said she would learn a great deal while she was here. And I take it this is part of that area of study, I'm not sure. But the masonry here in Japan is superb. So it's just interesting to see how they're fitted and how it would take an awful lot to knock them down. This is the Gion section. You see all the policemen here that are helping direct traffic. There's a tremendous amount of car traffic. Mostly though, it's mostly people. And look at these people walking by. All nations, but the Japanese and their brilliant kimonos, really quite amazing. And look at these traditional homes, structures along here. I think they're very old, or at least they look old. They were built old. And here we're walking down, making our video. Again, you see up A lot of the traditional. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. I'm making a video. So there we are. This is quite amazing. The street. Those curtains, that's the entrance. So you just push aside the curtain and in you go. And they have the greatest selections here of everything. Oh, this is an interesting shop. Take a quick look in here. Looks like a lot of printed art, prints. Very interesting. You have to see this to actually believe it. It is so colorful, so beautifully done. Very, very special. These ladies love it. Ladies love this kind of work. Pardon me? This is a beautiful shop. It's a very beautiful shop. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have a lot of time left, unfortunately. This is Kinoshiki in western Japan. They are expecting a typhoon here tomorrow morning. So I got a place to stay in a nice hotel and had my first onsen, which was quite fabulous. Look at the willow trees. It's just beautiful. This is such an incredibly interesting culture. I find it very different, very beautiful in many ways. They are such perfectionists that you have to do everything always the same way. And they are very deliberate about that. I'm looking up this alley where these people are going. It's very narrow, as you can see. I'm looking for a good place to eat some of their excellent beef that they say is equal to Kobe beef. But there are many restaurants along here. I think I'm walking at about 4:30 in the afternoon. It's quite dark. We've had rain off and on. And tomorrow, as I said, they expect a typhoon, which I've never experienced before. So, but you can see the way they take care of everything. Hello, Ohio. The people here, many of them dress in traditional garb. I had a beautiful kimono on for my onsen, and I've decided that even at this late stage, I should own a kimono because it's so comfortable, makes so much sense. You see this little bridge over top of this stream. I guess it's probably a river. And I'm sure it gets very high. We're surrounded by mountains, so you get a lot of water here. They have a lot of water. The showers here are incredibly powerful, so that's a joy. And the onsen communal bath, where you bathe naked after making sure you shower first and do everything, bathe your hair, everything, and then you go into a male communal bath, or female in that case. And they have 7 major public baths here, and I'm entitled to use any of the public baths. So it's kind of interesting. How are you? You can see up here. Look at these beautiful ladies. Beautiful Japanese girls in their kimonos. They look very nice. Ohio. Hello. You're having an onsen?
A bath? That's good. Do you live here, sir? Do you live here in this city? Are you live here? No, you don't understand. Are you studying English yet? English in school? No English. It's Chinese children start when they're 4 or 5. Chinese. Yes, they learn English very young. You look very nice. Okay, I've continued here on my little walking tour to give an idea of the beauty of the place and how it's so different from everything we're used to. There's a barber shop. I checked the price for a haircut yesterday, and they wanted $30. So of course that's a no-go with me. My richer brothers would be happy with that, but not me. And that's another side street. So just try to find a good restaurant here. Now this looks like an interesting spot. This is a beautiful restaurant, it looks like. And the two girls, I guess, are the waitresses, or they're in charge of, this is the Ichinoto bath. It's a communal bath to which I have free service if I want to use it. I'm pretty happy with the communal bath, the Ensign that I have at my own hotel. It really is good enough for me. It was simple, but it was, go ahead, but it was very well done. And in fact, I was the only one in it, which is kind of surprising because it was 4 in the afternoon. Looks like there could be some good possibilities here for a restaurant. Now this is interesting. This is a hot spring drinking water. It looks like a traditional stand, and they actually provide you with cups. So I guess I can just take a cup and try it. Why not? I'll try anything once. And this is hot water, I guess, to drink. It tastes like a lot of minerals, but it's good. And it was warm, so no problema for me. Hot spring water. Now I was told that on this side of the street they have the restaurants, and this looks like it could be a very old restaurant. There are some of the actual Japanese trees very close. And this looks like a very old house, wooden house, with the traditional Japanese kind of slanted roof and the tiles that I was taking some great interest in Kyoto. I'm not sure if this is a hotel. I think this is a hotel, not a restaurant, although I'm on the side where it's supposed to be restaurants. So just look in here. It looks like a pretty upscale hotel, which means it's not for me. I guess that started with bonsai. So now when you see people walking in Nokono's, it's a tradition here, I believe. It's a tradition? Yes. Now these 3 girls, they are in their kimonos, probably going to onsens. Are you going to onsens?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Where are you from?
We're from Osaka.
Osaka.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm from Canada.
Oh, really?
Yes. I had my onsen before. Now I'm looking for a nice restaurant for the good beef. Do you have a suggestion?
I don't know. Around here.
Okay. You're new, are you? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. It's funny, after looking up and down the streets, I've walked right past this place. Seems to have a very wide selection. It seems to be a family place. A lot of children eating. A lot of Japanese themselves. So I guess the food is all right. But I went to several places before I found this, and I'm not only tired, but
very hungry. This is Sunday the 22nd, about 5:30. Now, of course, this is a first for me. What I'm doing is cooking my own steak, and they just showed me how to do it. I have my pickles, I guess it's soy sauce, the steak, some mushrooms, corn, miso soup, rice, and some vegetable. And the steak is slowly cooking, and I'm using chopsticks to do this. So everything is new to me. I wish I had Taylor here to help me, because she would know how to do this. Because she's done it in Australia and in other places she's gone to. She cooks her own food, but you go back and forth. You whip, whip, whip. This was a crazy idea, but I'm having kind of fun doing it. Slowly cooking here. We lit the fire before. There you can see, I guess, underneath it's cooking, slowly cooking. Of course, I don't like well done steaks, so my brother Charlie would have not gone for this at all, because it wouldn't be cooked enough for him. He'd have to spend 3 days here to get this thing like shoe leather. But I'm a little different. I can handle raw or not so well cooked things. I prefer rare, but I don't know if I really want it this rare. This is a special beef that the area is noted for. So I spent a lot of money for this, like $43 for this experience, which is more than I normally spend. But who cares? I'm on vacation, and life is too short to worry about too much. I'm drinking a sake beer, which I think is pretty good beer. Certainly enjoying myself here in Japan. This is quite a different experience. And I'm a little beaten up looking because of my glasses were banging on my nose, and I've got a problem with my eye. I'm not sure exactly what. I had some sleep in it and maybe picked it out the wrong way. I've been so tired walking at times. Today's been a good day. I've had more relaxing, and then with the ensign, that was tremendous. Is that cooking now?
Steak sauce. Steak sauce.
Yes. Do I pour that on top or just dip it? Okay. Is it ready now? Would it be medium rare? Do you think?
More.
Not ready.
More.
No.
More big.
Yeah, more. That's the steak sauce, he said. I thought it was soy sauce. But he's keeping an eye on me, and that's the big thing. Because I certainly don't know what I'm doing. And these chopsticks, if I wasn't holding the camera with one hand, I could probably operate better. And trying to do the camera and cook at the same time. Try that for size, Taylor. Try that in Fisherville, the Fisherville Hotel. I wonder when they'll have that. Looks beautiful though, doesn't it? This is really an adventure. I'm so glad I came here. I'd try anything once. This is certainly different. Look at some of these mushrooms you put on. This is what I call living. This is what I call living. I've got the mushroom on there now. I've got my steak ready. Got my Asahi beer. I have miso soup. I guess you drink that holding it up. So I'm going to take a little break from the chopsticks and the camera. This is really quite an adventure cooking my own food like this. The wonderful steak, got some pepper in there, green pepper, onion, mushrooms, and of course very nice rice. I've eaten the miso soup, which I love, and the Asahi beer. So there I am cooking my own food here in Japan. Costs $43, but I don't care. What would Mother say about this? My mother would have loved a place like this. She would have shown them how to do it, but it's amazing the number of people they're serving. They're not terribly fast, but they work very fast. So I wonder about the efficiency. My fire went out, but somebody came along and replaced it. So everything is back. It's cool. So I'm going to sign off now. Just enjoy. So this is my room after I left. Had a wonderful steak dinner, which I cooked for myself. And they fixed the room for me. This is my futon with my sleeping arrangement. It's quite nice. I'm quite happy. Earlier I had TV on. I had some tennis, which was wonderful. And there you see, I guess it's some kind of Japanese prayer there at the end. So this has been a very interesting start in Japan. And if I were younger, I would come back many times. I wish Mother could have seen this, because they really have wonderful traditions. Everything is so beautifully done. It reminds me so much of Mother. So that's what my thinking is. This is called the Crab Meat Garden. It looked interesting, and I think it's bound in seaweed. And all the sushi, of course, the base is rice. So that's where they make their money. They give you very little fish or crab meat and quite a bit of seaweed and a lot of rice. So I know the game. I have just entered the famous Omicho market in one of my interesting cities, Kanazawa, which is on the west coast of Japan. I reached here after a lot of holdups on the train because of the tornado. So I'm visiting here. It should be a very interesting experience. This looks like a very good eatery. The man is very assertive. He's a good salesman. What is your special today? Do you have a special today? No special? No English?
No English.
I'm getting kind of a late start, but for the first time, I really feel good today. This is a wonderful selection of seafood. As you can see, they have something of everything. They say, please eat here. It looks just delicious. They have a lot of crab. They have the very good looking oysters. It reminds me of Baltimore, except it's much cleaner, much more organized. And of course the packaging here in Japan is incredible. And the people they sell. Japanese people are very assertive. They are selling. Their prices are high. 8,500, that means $8.50 for that big crab. They have just an incredible plethora of seafood of every description. Over here, I guess they have all the condiments to go with it. This is interesting also. The lady has
fish roe. Looks wonderful. And they give out some samples. It's very interesting. And then we go to the vegetables. And there are tons of vegetables here, different vegetables, familiar cabbage. There are a lot of vegetables, broccoli, onions and lettuce. Onions, of course, and potatoes, cucumbers. But then there are other tomatoes. There are other items here that I really don't know the name of, and of course they're in Japanese. This is quite a large market. It's not as large, I don't think, as some of the markets I've seen, but it's much larger than the one that I went through in Kyoto, which was fabulous, which was one single lane long. Here are the different mushrooms. This is an incredible place. These are all the different fruits, the cantaloupe, bananas, peppers, just everything you can imagine, all locked into one here. I'm doing a side alley here. This is quite interesting. Here are some tourists. I think they're probably from Australia.
Go the Wallabies.
Yes, the Wallabies. I was there a couple of years ago, and I watched Roger Federer win the Australian Open.
And with grace and
Yeah,
good manners.
my
as opposed to
favorite.
some recent
Yes.
people. Yes, go Federer.
But we have a Canadian girl who's even better, I think, eventually. Her name is Bianca Andreescu.
Oh,
she beat.
played Osaka the other day, didn't she?
Did she win or lose?
I think she did.
Maybe lost.
Naomi Osaka. Did Naomi Osaka win, or did the Canadian girl
The
win?
Canadian girl won, if I remember.
Really? Well, she beat Serena in the U.S. Open.
Wow.
She's the most refreshing voice. Now I'm going to eat some pineapple on a stick, and if I can turn it. Delicious. 150, yes. Delicious.
I can even smell
150
the sweetness from here.
It's beautiful.
Pineapple. Yeah, 150. That's it.
That's a very good choice. Everything else is priced pretty high, at least for me. I'm a Canadian.
They want that. It's price high for us. We're Americans.
Where are you from?
Florida.
I lived most of my life in Baltimore.
Really. Now you're a fan.
If you can survive that, then you've done okay. Fish? Eel, okay. Very good, eel. That's very expensive. 4,000. That's $40. One eel, 4,000. One, 4,000. One. Four? Okay. Thank you. Their presentation, and I'm going to see what this lady is cooking, which is looking very good. This is a squid on a stick, and these are meatballs on a stick. And I saw the girl just take them out, so I knew they were fresh. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to eat them now. This is my lunch today at the market. I can't say after eating this squid and these two big meatballs that it's the tastiest thing I've ever had. But for my brunch, if you will, today, it's going to be filling, give me energy to go on to the next stop to a very large, beautiful garden area where apparently there is a wonderful mansion if I want to visit it, and it'll give me a real sense of where I am here in the city. This looks like a small garden for a hotel or maybe a private home, but it's beautiful to see the attention to detail here in a Japanese style garden. The use of different trees, shrubs, Even the ferns, just unbelievable. The moss along the rocks, the placement of everything is so detailed. It just gives me a wonderful feeling for the sense of purpose that they have in every detail of their lives. Quite interesting to see. And then the beautiful trees just starting to turn color. This is the pizzeria I found kind of by accident. It's called Taki. Just had some wonderful food here. This is their firewood that they're using for their charcoal grill. I told them I was coming back with a camera, and sure enough, here I am. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. The food was very good. Thank you. Hello. The food was very good here. I used to own Italian pizza places, and this pizza was very good. And the lamb, I love the lamb. Thank you. I'm going to take some photos. They have a very nice fresh salad here. I ate here earlier and told them I was coming back with a camera. It's very good pizza, very good lamb. So you come here often? Have you been here before? First time? Oh yes, so you like it. Yes, very nice. I sat here. This is their menu board. Really quite interesting. I hope you can see it. People studying the menu. It's a tremendous operation here. I really, really did enjoy it very much. Fellows hard at work back here. It reminds me a little bit of my joint operations in the, Sir, do you mind if I come in? Just take a photo? Okay. Thank you. People are working very hard here. It's a very fast-paced operation. Very nicely done. And the men are here working. Working. Everybody at work at hard. And look at the knives. Beautiful food. Excellent food. Thank you. Thank you. All the pots and pans. Oh, look at him. Just busy as can be. Everything going. Beautiful. Very, very special. Inside. Now guarding the bridge here is this kind of godlike, ghoulish figure in the middle of the bridge. He's overseeing everything. He's a fearsome looking character in the warrior class. And here's another one with very long outreached arms. They're just incredibly creative, the Japanese. There's an artistic element. There's this idea of spirituality. It's quite an interesting culture. One thing about the Japanese is they provide here in this city, they have benches all over the place to sit, and often they have flower arrangements around them. I think overall the presentation of everything is so special. Even a men's clothing store like this, just the way that they present things is so well done. I take it was men's. I guess maybe it could be female. And then here's another shop. Just the way that they, again, present themselves their marketing is wonderful.
We're getting quite close here now to the fish. They're quite interesting. Of course, I've seen plenty of these characters in China on my trips in different countries. It's kind of interesting. They're well fed here, obviously, and the ducks are also well fed. So this is the big outdoor market in Tarakawa. It reminds me a little of the famous farmers market in Baltimore. It's certainly not as large, expansive as the one there at this point, although I've just started, so maybe there's more than the eye can see here. I'm not sure if there's an inside portion or not. There are certainly cafes all along. They have a lot of interesting items here, which would interest especially, I think, young ladies. It's just very little that fascinates me that way. Here, like, they have a lot of homemade handicrafts, jewelry items, things that would again attract people, tourists. I think they're very smart. It looks fairly pricey. How are you? How are you? You are so pretty, so nice. Yes. How are you? Good to see you.
My name is Jintaro.
My name is Jack.
Jack, that's Jack.
I am from Canada. Nice to meet you. I am from Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Where are you from? Where do you live?
I'm from Japan.
Good boy. Do you learn English in school?
A little.
A little. You must learn more, and then you can travel.
Oh, these look interesting.
Octopus dumplings. I've never heard of octopus dumplings.
Not sweet, savory.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a wet round pastry made from flour, eggs, ginger, and various stuff with diced. Please try it.
This is the octopus dumpling, and you can see the octopus inside the dumpling. It's quite interesting, very unusual. Now, Taylor, the next time that Trent takes you out to dinner or to lunch, have him take you to a Japanese restaurant. Right in front of us is chicken, which I am going to grill myself at the same table, right over here. I'm grilling chicken. And this is pork loin. It looks great. And this is the miso soup, which you don't eat with a spoon. You just tip up the bowl and drink, just as though you're drinking from a bowl without handles. It's all quite interesting. They have different sauces that you can use. This happens to be a sweet sauce. But I've been cooking and it's turned out delicious. I'm really not surprised because I am an excellent cook. But eating with chopsticks, again, is something that I enjoy doing. Not everybody does, but I'm having a wonderful time here in Japan, and this is a special lunch for me. Costing me about, I believe, about $12, so it's quite an experience. See you, Taylor. These are interesting here. This is his travels through Japan. Flowers. I frankly am not very worried about it. Nobody else is going to see them except a very small group of people. I'm not selling them. They don't have to worry. I'm sure I will have the Gestapo here any minute, but I'm ready to move on very shortly. This is kind of a short stay. Japanese are very polite. They even told me politely I shouldn't take photos. But the truth is, I'm here to experience Japan as I never have, the opportunity again. It's so interesting. Bought a really nice kimono this morning. That's going to be a first for me. I remember Granny Dawson in her kimono. Uncle Russ always wore kimono around his apartment, wherever he lived. I remember him quite vividly in his kimono. But this will be a first for me to have a kimono. There weren't too many that were large enough. This one, the sleeves are a little short, but I think it'll work. Seen from the countryside. Here's some more that are quite interesting. And the fish, I guess that's a carp. First fish I ate in China was a big carp, head to toe, only chopsticks. I remember when Jim and Dave and I used to catch carp down in the marsh, and we sold them to the Orthodox Jews who came out, paid us $1 or so. I think they were probably 30, 40 pounds swimming around. They were hard to catch because they were so slimy. But we made do. We used pitchforks, if I remember, on a few of them. Took them up and fed them to the pigs. Mother wouldn't cook them. Now, Grandpa would have had them. Grandpa and I were the only ones that would eat catfish when he was around. I remember eating catfish with him, and it was a delicacy. Now, of course, many people eat catfish. It's considered kind of a great fish, especially out through the Midwest, along the Mississippi and places where I've traveled. They feature catfish, and some of them are really big suckers. So, at any rate, this is the story of this storied Japanese painter. And I think it's an interesting side of Japan that most people don't see or get. This is interesting. This, I guess, has to do with the war effort and official Japan, which I think that was a sort of a protest. He was an artist, obviously, and a caricature, cartoon type painter, but way off the beaten path. He apparently explored, starting with insects, and even his little creatures here, like this little lady, I guess. She almost looks like a little bug. And there's a monkey. This is a very interesting exhibit for me, because he kind of, I relate to this guy more than I have to most artists. And a huge sunflower to finish my exhibit. This is the Takayama Floats exhibit. These floats go back hundreds of years, apparently, and they're made for special festival celebrations in Takayama. They're quite remarkable. They're very ornate, covered with bells and jewels. This is my first Chinese restaurant in Yokohama. I'm just sitting down to eat. Have not ordered yet, but it looked inviting from the outside. And this looks more like what I'm interested in. The place I'm staying at the Sheraton, the rooms are $210 or $15 a night, which is way out of my class. But I'm doing it to just have a little comfort toward the end of my trip here in Yokohama. So I'll stop for right now and show you the food later. This is the menu they gave me. I simply scroll to the dish that I want, and they have different choices. For instance, they had Canton roast pork. I think that's what I'll have. 880 yen, that's about almost $10. Now these are the colon skewer and the lamb skewer. And for the life of me, I can't tell which is which. So I'm going to try to taste first in front of you, if I can turn the camera. and test this one to see what it is. It's good. I think it's the lamb skewer. I'm going to try the other one now and see how it matches up. They taste pretty much the same to me, but I think the second one is the colon skewer. It's colon meat, which I've never had, never will have again, but frankly I'm going to finish it, because that's who I am. The clear-cut star of this show today at lunch in Chinatown, Yokohama, is the shrimp with mayonnaise. Actually, it's quite delicate, and it's served with some vegetable, which I really needed. Of course, I'm eating a lot of vegetables, so I don't have to worry about it much, but I really shouldn't be eating all this meat, so it's kind of a break to have the shrimp. I will never again, of course, have a chance at colon, and it was kind of a rare experience, so when I have a rare experience, I take it. That's my philosophy of life here in Japan. It's kind of a Zen thing. I'm in the Yokohama Port Museum. I'm looking at a scale model of an icebreaker that is in active use for immigration purposes. It can cut through 1.5 meters of ice, in other words, about almost 5 feet of ice. It has a helicopter on top. It's called the Soya. It was built in 1978, and I see that it is really well equipped for whatever it needs to do. In the floor of the museum is an outline of the port of Yokohama, actually painted into or carved into the floor of the museum. It's quite interesting to see that. I've never quite seen that done before. So, something new every day. Other fittings in the museum here. This is a bell from 1930, obviously. This is actually an aerial photo of the port of Yokohama. That's really interesting. From the top, I didn't realize. But this is actually an aerial photo. And so now I see what I'm getting here. Now this is quite fascinating. From the age of antiquity, I guess, we'll see very quickly here, but this is during the Edo period. Cargo ships, they were called Kanagawa Harbor. This this city was called Kanagawa Harbor. Bishu Kaisen played out not only a role of transportation, but also earned profits from buying and selling goods. Therefore, Kanagawa, a post town of 53 stations of the Tokaido, was bustled with many goods and people from both land and sea. And this is one of the original boats, I guess, sailing boats. Reminds me a little bit of the Pharaoh's boat I saw at the Cairo at the exhibition there at the Great Pyramid. So quite old, very interesting. It says that this ship was used on most major routes, such as between Edo, which is present-day Tokyo, and Kamagata, present Osaki. The depth of the hold was 1.9 meters. Length of mast was 21.9 meters. The length of the yard was 16.9. Length of rudder, 8.2 meters. And the lower width of rudder, 2.8 meters. So it's a pretty substantial vessel. We don't see those on Lake Erie, unfortunately. But we have our own ships, right? This is documents, I guess, from a period. Very interesting. And then we come over here to what looks like a dory, a Nova Scotian dory. But it seems that there were 6 rowers. We'll look a little closer at it. Everything here is in Japanese, so I'm talking basically off the top of my head, except what I remember from before. But this says it's Oshiokuri Bun were used to transport fresh fish to market in Edo from fishing villages around Edo. The boats were not much affected by winds and able to run fast, mainly on oars and sails. Because they were fast boats, they were used as official boats, and the boats played an important role in watching over foreign vessels at the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Yokohama Village was located on a long beach. In the feudal Edo period, 1603 to 1867, the inlet of Yokohama Village was reclaimed to form the present shape of Yokohama City. So this is my hotel for 2 nights in Yokohama, far beyond what I want, far beyond what I need, but I was so tired when I came yesterday, Saturday, the 28th, that I'm just staying for 2 nights. I'll move on to Tokyo tomorrow. So this is the hotel. Pretty fancy digs for a country boy from Selkirk, Ontario, Hoover's Point exactly, living in the wonderful town of Hartwigsburg, or commonly known as Fisherville. But we call it Hartwigsburg because my great friends, Taylor and Mark and Marge, and my wonderful, saintly partner in crime, Milford, and I have a lot of fun in Fisherville, which I call affectionately Hartwigsville, Canada, because it really is their town in many ways. I can't wait to get back to the track and try the new exercise equipment that Mark purchased for the track in honor of a wonderful Tracy. So now I've reached Tokyo. That's the station across from me. This gives you a little idea of the height of the buildings, which are incredible. They just go on and on and on and on. This is one of the taller buildings I've ever seen. And the construction cranes rule right across from the station itself. My hotel, instead of being $200 a night, is $65 a night for the next 3 nights. I already got a reserved ticket to Narita Airport for the 3rd in the morning. This is the view outside the train station, Tokyo train station. It's quite old. It's very beautiful, I think. And then, of course, it's surrounded by all these incredibly tall buildings. I'm headed now to the Imperial Park and to the palace, which apparently is not open to the public, but at least I'll be able to get some photos of the outside. This is my morning breakfast at the new seafood market in Tokyo. It's about 16 stops by rail, so that means miles and miles of waterfront, industrial development, ocean-going vessels, everything going on in a busy harbor. These are the men back here. We're in the kitchen. It's a very clean, spotless kitchen. I came here because it was at the rear, and I think it's less pricey. What I'm getting is a seafood kind of soup or stew with rice and shredded cabbage, and a miso soup with a boiled egg, and a Kirin beer, which is actually very good beer. So I'm drinking beer at 9:30 in the morning, but that's okay because that's probably going to be one of two for the day. This is so Japanese. This is the new fish market, but I believe it's a wholesale fish market. They have an observation deck where you can see potential restaurant owners and others who buy in quantity walking down. You can see the boxes of various fish, but frankly it's all stainless steel. It's beautiful looking, maybe aluminum instead of stainless steel, but there's no heart, there's no soul here. You can't do a hands-on thing to touch the fish. You can't even really get close to them. There's a sign here of fish in season, and they have the photos of various fish in the spring. I just finished my brunch, if you will, a delicious seafood. So this is a scene from looking toward Tokyo from the new fish market, which I found a total loss. So this is the Edo Museum. This is the Nihonbashi Bridge, restoration early 19th century. Originally it was built, they say, in 1603, and it was a focal point for the nation's highways. 51 meters in length and some 8 meters in width. This model reproduces the northern half of the bridge according to records of reconstruction from 1806 and 1829. Very interesting. This Edo Museum is a masterpiece of museum presentation. As you can see here, I guess it's an original station. There's a little girl on a bicycle. There's a rickshaw. Many people walking through. I have a short time here, but I may return tomorrow depending on what I see, because I think that this is one of the more important places I'm going to see culturally in Tokyo. I guess this is a village from the Edo period. Again, masterfully recreated. Quite interesting. It's 102 on the dial. I will check and see what I can see. This display is called Portraits of Edo. These are scenes from actually the Edo period. And there are 7 large photos here, and you can see that they're depicting life at that period. quite large. We would call them, I suppose, wall paintings or murals. They could be used many ways, even in the home. I was right. This is a lady's palanquin, which would be carried by, I guess, 4 or 6 strong-armed young men. But it's very ornate, incredible. It's got the family a butterfly crest. It's just incredible swallowtail butterfly crest. Incredible. This is military armor, well, a military garb from 1855. Again, it looks pretty strong defensively. The helmet is amazing. It's steel. They have special shoulder pads. They've got knee pads. Interesting looking shoes. Here's another one. Look at this guy. Looks pretty fierce. And this one is very colorful. This is the better, more colorful side of the lady's palanquin display that I've already shown, but shows her fans. Quite interesting. This is a model of, I guess, a palace with all the buildings, and you can see the moat here around it, surrounding it. Quite interesting. This is the model of the Hanmaru and Ninomaru palaces in Edo Castle in the last years of the Tokugawa shogunate. So we're talking about, I think, about the 1860s or so. It says that this palace was roughly 37,597 square meters in around 1845. It was one of the largest wooden buildings of the Edo period. So this is a model of a scale of, I believe, 1 to 10, but it's quite large and quite historic, of course. This is a model of a palace built originally in 1597 to 1645. It was built for the daimyo Matsudaira Tadamasa, and was built on a very large lot. But during a terrible fire, this mansion burned to the ground, and after that the luxurious residences were no longer built. That happened in 1657. This model was reproduced based mainly on 3 sources from illustrations of the mansion of the governor of Iyo, the screens of Edo in the archives, and the memorandum of Kora Konen in the Tokyo Metropolitan Central Library. This is just incredible period reproduction, and of course some paintings from the Edo dynasty period. I'm observing the interior of an Edo era apartment or house. It's just a little dark to be able to see too much, but again it gives you a sense of they weren't all large like the mansions we've just seen in models. This is a demonstration of a craftsman at work with his various chisels and hammers and tools. He's doing some, maybe the block type of letters and printing that they did. I'm not sure exactly, but it's quite descriptive looking. Shows you things from the period. This is called the process of making nishiki. Nishiki-e. It's a woodblock print made with a division of labor. The print illustrates female artisans producing nishiki-e instead of the conventional image of male artists. Kind of interesting. And some of the incredible prints that I guess have been salvaged. These look like they were probably original, I'm not sure. But very interesting. I know that Bill Stewart would be the only person I know who's truly interested in my trip to Japan. The sumo. We are very close to the sumo museum here. Books for the common people. This is an incredible ship from the Edo period. I saw something very similar over at the Yokohama port exhibit. So I guess it was from the Edo period also. It's even got a lifeboat on there and the cotton or sail. The eastern route and the western route. They had the two routes around Japan at the period. Trading routes, I take it. I'm not sure what this is, but it looks like a incredible. This is regular store showing the various merchandise and people walking away in kimonos and otherwise. Quite a large store, not quite like today's malls. And Nolan, if you ever see this, I'm really doing this as much for you as for anyone else because you are my hope and my future at this point. I hope you have a chance to travel. If you want to travel in style, like a Edo monarch, this is the kind of jalopy you want to drive around in. I don't know how many horses it took to pull it, but I'm sure it was a pretty heavy piece of equipment. And of course, the king rides on top, like a royal figure, maybe like a saint, maybe the Pope of the day. Look at the wheels. And here's the model of the bridge that we saw when I walked in. People crossing over on the boats outside. I have very little time left. This is the king and queen. They've got a lute player there. They have this wonderful comic figure, umbrella. And this is a model, I guess, of the Edo Castle inside, the way it was built. I'm about ready to get locked out of here, so I'm going to leave now.